Well, welcome viewers to the channel. This is episode 5 on the Jehovah Witnesses, titled The Great Crowd and the Two-Tier Future. A system that does not need to call itself hierarchical if it can assign people different destinies and make them grateful for the lower tier. The May 31, 1935 identification of the Great Crowd as an earthly class created a scalable two-tier structure, a small anointed class and a much larger earthly hope base. Now, presented as spiritual light, it functioned like a durable sorting system that comes from jw.org. So, point number one, a two-tier doctrine solves an organizational problem by giving everyone a place, but not the same place. At the 1935 memorial, attendance was 63,146 and 52,465 partook of the emblems. 30 years later, in 1965, memorial attendance had risen to 1,933,089, while partakers had dropped to 11,550. That is not just growth. That is a structural separation between a small upper identity and a massive supporting body. You can find that in the Watchtower online library. A system like this is efficient because most people do not need to lead, interpret, or rule. They only need to accept their assigned place. The doctrine appears spiritually reassuring, but institutionally it is brilliant. It expands without flanking rank. Point number two. Once the great crowd is defined as earthly, membership can scale without threatening the top tier. JW literature itself says that within 25 years after 1935, memorial attendance was over 100 times the numbers of partakers. It also notes 840 were baptized at the Washington, D.C. convention, where this teaching was highlighted. And that matters because the movement becomes easier to manage when growth flows into a non-ruling class. Many can grow endlessly while the few remain symbolically elevated. And humans love pretending. And this is not hierarchy because putting a Bible word on a ladder does not stop it being a ladder. Teaching point number 3. The doctrine was framed as revealed understanding, but it also reinforced role stability. JW sources described May 31, 1935 as a milestone when the identity of the great crowd became clear, and later publications present it as a major breakthrough in understanding. That comes from jw.org. When a role assignment is presented as divine clarification, questioning the role starts to feel like questioning God. And that is how structures become durable, not by chains, but by conscious management. They want to manage your conscience. And the assigned position becomes holy, and the person inside it becomes hesitant to think. So here's an example of what I'm talking about. A man in the system realizes he will never belong to the anointed class, never interpret at the top level, and never stand in the symbolic center of authority. He is told this is not loss, but humility. So he works, attends, submits, serves, and silences the discomfort the negative outcome is not always open rebellion. Often it is quieter, permanent second-tier identity, learned deference, and a life spent defending a role he never freely examined. Why this matters. Two-tier systems are powerful because they do not need to announce inequality. They only need to spiritualize difference. Once difference is sanctified, hierarchy can operate for decades without calling itself hierarchy. That's the deception. So here's some practical steps. Write down your role in your main community, church, work, family or organization. Ask who benefits most if you never question the role. Then write what would change if you refused the role. And then separate duty from designation. Some roles are necessary, others are assigned to keep the system calm. Here's a reflection question. Have you mistaken your assigned role for your actual worth? Because people will put you in places that keep you down, not where you're supposed to be. 7-day challenge. Each day identify one expectation placed on you by your main system, whatever that is. Ask whether it is based on truth, function, fear, or control. And here's a proverb principle. Do not move an ancient boundary stone set up by your ancestors. A boundary can protect order. It can also preserve a power arrangement long after people stop examining who set it there. So if your role can never be questioned, it is probably serving the system more than it is serving the truth or yourself. And I will see you in the next talk.